Hey Internet, Eric here. Here with a movie review, and tonight we're going to do what I call a blind movie review, is where I review a film that I hadn't previously seen. And because a lot of my movie reviews, I do reviews of movies that I own. So basically, if I own the film, you're pretty much going to think I'm going to give it a positive review. So I've done some blind movie reviews in the past. What was it? The Dolph Lundgren movie, Command Performance. But anyways, that was my first blind movie review. Tonight, I'm going to review the movie starring Sylvester Stallone and Michael B. Jordan. I'm going to review Creed. Now, I am a huge, huge Rocky fan. And, a huge Sylvester Stallone fan in general. But huge Rocky fan, love the series. Even Rocky 5, I defended it in one of my You Hate It, I Don't videos. And I went into this actually with high expectations because I thought Rocky Balboa would have been the perfect way to end the Rocky saga. That was a fantastic, fantastic film. However, I did get excited when I heard that this was being made. So I watched it with high expectations, and overall, I was very, very satisfied. If you're new to my channel, I have to warn you that there will be some spoilers, and including a major plot spoiler or plot point spoiler that I can't get past the way I review movies without talking about this because it's very important. So if you have not seen Creed, it just came out last year, 2015. So if you have not seen it, please stop the review, go check it out, and then come back and rewatch this because this is going to be somewhat major theme or B plot story, what have you, that's going to get spoiled. Anyways, Michael B. Jordan plays Adonis Johnson. And first off, yes, Adonis Johnson. He goes by Donnie. His name's fucking Don Johnson. Anyways, and he finds out that he is the son of Apollo Creed, who was killed by Ivan Drago in Rocky 4. Now, he has become a professional fighter. I think he's like 18-0, I believe, by the time the movie ends. But, he wants to get his name out. He wants to become a better fighter. So he meets up, after he finds out who his father is, or who his father was, he meets up with Rocky Balboa at Rocky's restaurant, Adrian's. And eventually, after some, convinces Rocky to train him. And basically, after that, it's a rehash of the original Rocky. It's almost the exact same type of film as Rocky was, except there's a more urban feel to it because Michael B. Jordan's black, whatever. So they gotta throw in, the urban culture. However, that doesn't really take too much away from the film. Great performance by Michael B. Jordan. I had never seen him before. I know he was in the Fantastic Four reboot, which was shit on, but I haven't seen it, so I can't shit on it myself. But other than that, I don't know where he's from. I've never seen him before, at least to my knowledge. And then Sylvester Stallone, returning as Rocky Balboa in the trainer role, which he did somewhat in Rocky 5, but here, man, his acting is fantastic. He earned that Oscar nomination. And the relationship he has with Adonis is fantastic. It goes from a trainer-trainee to somewhat of a father-son, relationship, because Adonis never knew his father. Apollo had an affair with a woman, impregnated her with Adonis, and then Apollo was killed, like I said, in part 4, as she was pregnant. So he never met Apollo ever. So Adonis takes Rocky as a father figure. And the bond that they create is very good, very fantastic, very lovable, very funny at times, very believable. I really loved seeing these two on screen together. Now, talking about Sylvester Stallone's performance, here comes the spoiler part that I warned you about. And He said, "I already warned you, so turn it off now. Go watch the film." Eventually, we find out that Rocky is suffering from stage 1 lymphoma, and I mentioned Rocky or Sylvester Stallone's acting in this film, and the doctor says they caught it in time, but with chemotherapy and treatment, they can beat it or possibly beat it, and it just triggers Rocky's memory of Adrian passing away, because Adrian passed away of cancer, and just seeing him remember her and what she went through, he just tears in his eyes, and this touching moment with that he speaks of her, and of losing her and how he still loves her. It really gets you. And he says he doesn't want to do the treatment. He doesn't, remembering what she went through, he doesn't want to do that. So eventually Adonis finds out, and they have an agreement where Adonis will go through with this training, but Rocky eventually does have to go through the treatment. And just seeing Sylvester Stallone trying to train Adonis while also going through the chemotherapy and stuff like that. I mean, they age Stallone with makeup, they gray his hair out. I like how Rocky is making Adonis run, up the stairs in the hospital and doing, push-ups in the hospital room while he's, getting his treatment and stuff like that. And, it's very, very well done. And they hide the fact that Rocky has lymphoma and his hair loss, so he's got to wear a wool cap. So literally, by the time the final fight is happening and they're walking out, Rocky's wearing the wool cap and Adonis has the hood up of his robe. It's literally seeing Rocky down there with Mickey again, and that was a cool nostalgia fact. Cool, bringing me back to watching Rocky growing up, and it was a good nod. There are some good nods to the original film. I love when Rocky has to make Adonis chase the chickens. That's fun. Just a lot of the training montages are fun. Let's see what else. More positives. More positives. I liked the opponent. I can't think of the actor's name or the character, but he's this big British dude, and he is about ready to go to prison, and he was eventually going to fight another man, but in the weigh-in he broke his jaw with a cheap shot, and this man is intimidating. He's scary. He reminds me of Mr. T in Part 3 because he's scary and intimidating, but he's a good shit talker, and you believe what he's saying. So very, very intimidating final opponent. And that's a step up from Rocky Balboa, because in Rocky Balboa, the final opponent wasn't anything special. I didn't really give a shit about him. So that was cool. And the final fight between them was great. Ryan Coogler, or Cogler, I don't know, Coogler. I'm butchering his name, I'm sure, but the way he filmed this final fight, this final boxing match was great. Excuse me, lots of close-up, shots, of course. Lots of times during the intensity, what I liked is lots of times you didn't hear the crowd at all. All you heard was the sound effects. You heard maybe cameras clicking, or you heard the punches and all that. You didn't hear the announcers. You didn't hear anything except the action that was going basically in the ring. One of my favorite scenes in the final fight was the opponent knocks Creed down, and Creed falls in slow motion. And I don't know if it was done on purpose or not, but as he fell in slow motion, it seems like it reminded me back in Rocky IV when Apollo Creed fell, to his death after the death blow from Ivan Drago, and as Adonis is lying there, during the 10 count, we're seeing Adonis go back through different parts of the film, remembering him and his girlfriend. Remember fights that him and Rocky had, the fights that him and his girlfriend did have, and you don't hear any dialogue, you don't hear any sound at all. You just hear doors slamming and stuff like that, and it's motivating him to get back up. And then there's quick cuts of blood being spit on the side, and the bloody water being spit in the bucket and stuff like that. So the editing is fantastic in this final fight. And oh, Felicia Rashad. Felicia Rashad from the Cosby Show. She plays Adonis's. Well, she plays Apollo's widow. So obviously she's not Adonis's blood mother, but we first meet Adonis and he's in a boys' home. He's put into solitary because he's beating the shit out of kids, and she reveals who she is and blah blah blah. And then she takes him out, adopts him, raises him, and they have a good rapport. They have a good relationship. I like seeing Michael B. Jordan acting with Felicia Rashad. And she's not in the film very much, but what she does with what she's given is great. I love watching her watch Adonis in the final fight. And, like I said, just watching how intense she gets watching it, watching, her cry because her baby's getting beat up. Fantastic. On the downside, I was not real big on the relationship Adonis has with his girl, played by Tessa Thompson. Not that she gave a bad performance, but it just wasn't anything special. I really didn't care for the two of them together at all. And you knew right away where the relationship was going to go. They're going to meet each other, flirt with each other, become a couple, have a fight, break up, get back together. Very, cookie cutter. Like I said, I mentioned how urban it was. And again, I don't really care that it's urban because Michael B. Jordan is black, so we have to, see him in the ghetto and in dance clubs and nightclubs and all that. But when he gets in fights and they throw, the word bitch around or the N-word around a lot, I'm like, I don't really need to see that in a Rocky film. I mean, it has its place in urban movies, but not in Rocky. I don't want to hear, Adonis knock a man down and say, get up, the N-word, whatever. I'm just like, doesn't really fit. And I mentioned a lot of the training montage. I'm not going to lie. When he's running down the streets of Philly, you see they recreate where Rocky ran down the streets of Philly, and the little kids were running with him. Adonis is running down the streets of Philly with a bunch of, kids, from the ghetto on dirt bikes. I'm just like, it was really a bad recreation of it. I did not like how they were chasing him on the dirt bikes, and he was faster than a dirt bike. I did not like the score during that scene. It was just it was pretty much awful. It took me out of the scene a lot. But other than that, there aren't a lot of qualms in this film at all, other than the fact that its creed is basically Rocky, just with different characters. And like I said, Stallone is now Mickey. But if you realize that and you have no problem with that, I think you'll really, really enjoy it. Especially after the fight is over. I'm not going to say how it ends, because it could go either way. The speech that Michael B. Jordan gives at the end is very powerful, very good. This man has acting chops. There's scenes where Adonis was arrested earlier on in the film, and then he gives a powerful performance when he sees Rocky. Rocky is there to pick him up, and they have somewhat of a falling out. And Michael B. Jordan shows some very good acting skills, so I'm going to like anything I see Michael B. Jordan in if he is given the same type of acting opportunities. And like I said, Sylvester Stallone in this film is fantastic. He proves that if given a dramatic role, he can knock it out of the park. This man was fantastic here. Like I said, this one of my favorite scenes is he's visiting Adrian's grave. And this isn't really a spoiler, but because it has nothing to do with the plot, but Paulie has passed on. So Paulie is buried right next to Adrian, and Rocky goes to the graves. He puts a rose and some flowers on Adrian's grave, puts like a bottle of whiskey on Paulie's grave, and he pulls a chair out of the tree, and he just sits there in front of the grave, and he's reading a newspaper and telling Adrian's gravestone, Paulie's gravestone, how his day went and stuff like that. Like it's just another day in his life, something he does every day, and it's very sweet, very moving, very touching. Stallone can act if given the opportunity. He's pigeonholed as this action star, but if you've ever seen him in First Blood, the man can act. When he's not beating the shit out of guys, he gives a fantastic soliloquy at the end of First Blood. He is fantastic here. I'm going to eventually bring this into my collection just based on Stallone's acting alone, plus the relationship he has with Michael B. Jordan. Fantastic. And then, like I said, that final fight scene. Oh, man, the editing there. Oh, so good. So, yeah, that's Creed in a nutshell. Very, very, very minor qualms. I didn't really care, like I said, for the relationship Adonis has with his girl. Didn't care for, the running through Philly scene. But overall, and like I said, some people will hate the fact that it's basically Rocky. But I didn't really care because it brought me back to, nostalgia. And it was great. So overall, highly recommend Creed. Michael B. Jordan and Sylvester Stallone. I know this is a spin-off. I'm totally okay if they don't make any sequels, though, because we don't know how Rocky's dealing with his lymphoma by the end of the film. So if they make another sequel to Creed, is Stallone going to be in it? Is Stallone going to be, half dead Rocky? Are they going to kill Rocky off? I don't know. I don't want to see that. As much as, I liked Creed, Adonis Creed here, because he does take the last name Creed. But I don't want to see a spin-off of a Rocky film without Rocky in it. So this was a great idea for a one spin-off movie, but I don't think they need to make a franchise of it. But overall, highly recommend it. Highly recommend Creed. Give it a shot if you're a Rocky fan, if you're a drama fan, or if you like sports movies. Highly recommend it. That's it. So in the end, I would like to say thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. If you're a new subscriber, welcome and thank you. I'm now at 50 subscribers, so that's really cool. Please check out my older films. Like I said, I did defend Rocky 5 in one of my You Hate It, I Don'ts. And I'm one of the few people that really does like that movie, because even from what I heard, even Stallone doesn't care for that. Anyways, so yeah. And if you like what you see, or you want my opinion on something, recommend me a movie to review. I'd be glad to review it. I have a review of Turbo Kid coming eventually, so Gollum, don't worry, I got that coming out. I do have to review the work print of Rocky 5, which I'm very interested of. I have a review of John Carpenter's Prince of Darkness coming out, The Abominable Dr. Phibes, and a few others. So if you have any any ideas what you want, and Fright Night 2, not Fright Night 2 with William Ragsdale, Fright Night 2, which is a sequel but a remake of the Fright Night remake. Don't ask me. But other than that, if you want to have any recommendations or any ideas, I'll review them. Let me know. If you want to be an asshole and have me review something that you think I'll hate, that's complete garbage, go right ahead, because you never know. I might actually like it, because fuck, man, I defended Howard the Duck just the other day. So go ahead, recommend me some shit. But in the end, yeah, tell your friends, tell your grandma, tell your dad, anybody who wastes time on YouTube to check out my channel. And I will say cheers, and like Rocky would always say, go for it.